That was like fun playing with David Byrne. Oh, God. All right, Andy, your first time at NAMM.
First time?
What brought you here?
Well, as a matter of fact, funny you ask, I designed a guitar with Ernie Ball.
For real?
Mm-hmm.
You designed your own guitar?
I did.
Okay. Tell me about it.
Well, far from a vanity project, it is an amazing tool for artists that I was able to put all of my 20 years of experience playing guitar into, and I'm so proud of it.
Yeah, I mean, you approached it differently. I mean, so, you know, I think about game changers, I think about watching your style of playing the guitar, using it more tonally, using it very differently than maybe some of the traditional guitar players. How did that come about? Was that inspiration? Were you inspired by others? How did that develop your style?
Well, I guess I always sort of looked at guitar as a noise generator, and it could be a monster, it could be a shield, it could be very gentle. So I kind of just tried to explore the full palette of what guitar means and try to reinvent it for the 21st century.
How old were you when you started?
I was 12.
Did you have lessons?
And I'm 16 now, so it's been pretty good.
That's really good. I mean, just was it the natural? Did you join bands? Did you play, you know, with others? What was the progression of your musical background?
Well, I started taking guitar lessons at a local Dallas vendor. I'm from Dallas, Texas, a place called Zoom Music. Shout out to Zoom Music. I don't know if you guys are here. But the way that I learned was I would just take in songs that I loved. So at that time it was, you know, Jethro Tull and Steely Dan and the grunge thing that was sweeping the nation. And that's how I learned to play. And then I joined bands. I played in jazz band, and I played in metal bands, and I played in just straight up noise bands, and I really ran the gamut.
Out of that, your style emerged. Talk about some of the bands that you played with, and a lot of that clip showed the kind of versatility of your playing and being with other artists. How did that come about?
Well, I got my start playing in a band called the Polyphonic Spree, which was based in Texas, where I'm from, and that was like a 25-person, totally crazy orchestra, kind of Beach Boys-esque, very anthemic music. And that's where I learned to really experiment with tone, because, you know, the lead singer would come up to me and say, "Hey, can you make that more like fluttery?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay, you know, okay, delay and flange and et cetera, et cetera." So, and then I played with Sufjan Stevens, who's a great songwriter, and then have been doing St. Vincent now for 9 years.
You know, the band, watching some of the videos, the use of analog synthesizers. And that's pretty interesting. That's actually a trend we're seeing here last year and this year at the show. A lot more people doing it, a lot more guys coming back and making analog synths. I mean, what was that, how did that inspire this band to go do some of those not regular, but the real traditional synthesizer sounds, not so much digital?
Well, I had the pleasure of, on my past 2 records, working with a great Moog player named Bobby Sparks, who was like a serious, you know, basically a P-Funk kind of acolyte dude. So that kind of texture was really important. He brought in his, you know, 70s.
And it's very expressive.
Yeah.
You get to play that instrument, right? It's just interesting to see how that is developing too in the sound of today. You're using it really profoundly. In designing your guitar, I mean, the idea that with Susan, we talked a little bit about it, but the industry can be a little male-centric. And in designing guitars, you're looking for instruments. Anything that you have experienced, you know, in your career that you wish had been done differently, or anything that these are all the guys who make and are part of that business. Anything you'd like to share about your experiences coming up, or?
Sure. I like to think of this guitar as an equal opportunity ergonomic guitar. I made it kind of for myself. You know, I was like, well, it needs to be light because I'm a small person, and I don't want to have a chiropractor travel around on tour with me when I'm, you know, playing 200 dates a year. And from a design perspective, I'm a big fan of Klaus Nomi, and I thought, oh, what if it's very triangular? And is, from a design perspective, very almost Memphis design movement.
Yeah.
You know, like in the 80s, everything's just like, it's a triangle, or it's a... and then I wanted it to have the super, super friendly neck, so that anybody who picked it up, because a lot of guitars that you get, if they're not friendly and you're learning, you really discourage people from learning. So I thought it was important for people to have a great, very friendly neck. And then tone, a lot of tone flexibility.
The idea that I think you and many other artists are inspiring a new generation of all young people to play, boys and girls. So who were the game changers that inspired you coming up as musicians and or guitar players? Who did you really look to as someone in your mind that's the game changer?
Well, I would say that when I was very young, Nirvana came and changed the world.
Interesting.
So that was my first hero, I would say.
And then you got to play with them.
Yeah, well...
Rock and roll induction.
Yeah, that was a real...
A little nerve-wracking?
Well, yes, it was. I would say it was a dream come true, but the truth is that I wish that Kurt Cobain was alive, like everyone else. So it's hard to say. Then as I kind of grew up a little bit, David Bowie's my ultimate hero.
Wow, lost an entrepreneur come true. I appreciate you being here. I know you're going to spend a little time at the NAMM show. I hope you enjoy it. I hope all our friends behave themselves and that you have a really successful time here. And the fact that Sterling is hauling you around is, I'm not sure if that's a good thing. It's kind of the crazy uncle thing, but I think you're going to be okay. But stick with Brian and if all else fails. So, Andy Clark. Thank you very much for being here.